Jacques Barradas, partner at Grant Thornton, attended the keynote address by South Africa's Minister of Mineral Resources. He's in our Cape Town studios to unpack that speech for us. Jacques, good to have you with us on the show today. Maybe let's begin with an overview of the sentiment from the minister's speech. Some sweet, some sour. Your key takeaway points?
Yes, I definitely think it was overall positive address by the minister. He definitely gave us some fantastic pointers towards where government policy is aiming towards and how the government will be dealing with the mines.
Jacques, let's unpack some of those comments from the minister, and perhaps the nice one to start off with is the fact that he has said that South Africa is ready for investment, despite the fact that we have been on a downward trend when it comes to commodity prices. And with this, there is still opportunity. Would you agree with the statement?
Oh, absolutely. I think the downward commodity trends is a fantastic opportunity for lots of activity happening in the market. The government has said we're open for business, we're ready for business, and we definitely see with the lower commodity prices, the major mines looking at restructuring some of the deals, they're looking at restructuring some of the companies, and I think that opens up significant opportunities for all the mines concerned, the juniors and the major mines.
Jacques, the minister was also very militant with regard to his stance against lawbreakers, saying that they will be charging them appropriately and even putting them in jail. A very strong stance from the minister here, maybe one that we've never heard before from a minister in this particular portfolio. Absolutely.
It is the first time, as you said, that we've heard this from a minister, and I think it gives our international and local mines a really positive outlook that, you know, the strikes that we've seen in the past has been violent, there has been intimidation, and I think it's very positive the government is actively saying they'll take action. Of course, the proof is in the pudding, but it is a good thing that the minister have come out positively towards the strikers.
Jacques, when we talk about the government's involvement in mining companies, they also want to be more involved, especially in restructuring plans. What do you make of this?
It's a difficult one because the minister didn't quite allude to exactly how they will be involved and getting involved in those restructuring plans. But you know, we definitely know that the major players are looking at restructuring, possibly separating some African and South African mines and companies from the rest of the group. So, you know, the government should look at that and say, you know, whatever benefit those majors have derived from the mines that they've owned in Africa and South Africa, that those benefits should once again accrue to the local communities.
Isn't this a bit of a double-edged sword, especially given the role that the government now wants to play, as Tumisho alluded to, as more of a shareholder kind of role? The fact that mining companies need to seek approval from the government before doing away with particular assets. Surely this must rest heavily on the minds of mining CEOs?
I think it does, but the government is also not 100%, you know, involved in owning the mines. You know, they do want to become a stakeholder. They do want to own some of the mines, but you know, there's lots of these companies restructuring, and I think, you know, the government's not going to actively get involved in all of those, but I think they want to ensure that where there are benefits accruing to the communities, that those get transferred to them.
Jacques, do you think that this is the state's way of trying to get a taste of nationalized mining?
No, not at all. I think the minister has said that we're open for business, and the current status quo is not going to be changing. So I don't think that's the first step in those directions. I do think that the active part that the minister wants to take, and what he said in his speech yesterday, is a good footing for all in South Africa.
Jacques, when we look at government-run enterprises or state-run enterprises, if we look at SAA, we look at Eskom, and now the government wanting to be involved in mining companies in whatever form it may be, does it raise a bit of a nervousness with investors that are there?
No, I don't think the government wants to own outright as they do in the case of Eskom and the SAA. I think the mines have played open cards with the ministers and said, you know, we are doing these restructuring deals, and what the minister has said, and I suppose it can be interpreted any way, but the way I look at it is he says they are aware of these restructuring plans going ahead, and they really want to make sure that these are happening to the benefit to the communities. I certainly didn't hear the minister say they're going to be taking full ownership of those.
Jacques, just to close off with, he did obviously allude to the energy crisis that we are facing in South Africa. If you were a foreign investor, would you take heed to some of the comments that the minister might have shared in his speech?
Yes, absolutely. You know, the worrying thing is, of course, with the electricity shortages we do have, it does become difficult to not only mine, but to manufacture, to just in general operate in the country. So that is a concern. But what the minister has said, and you know, we are aware of these processes going on, that the independent power producers will come online hopefully sooner rather than later, and that I think should do huge volumes to improve the current stability of electricity supply. So mining companies in general, they look long term before they invest. You know, they look 15, 20 years, and I think the outlook there looks very rosy for South Africa.
Thank you so much to Jacques Barradas there. He's a partner at Grant Thornton.